a personal reflection on knowledge, technical depth, medical self-study, and the values that guide my adult life. Number 1448, November 26, 2025. Gerald C. EclaireMD Foundation. Category: General. Preface: I have spent 43 years learning advanced knowledge at the college level or above. Out of these years, 18 were spent inside academic institutions, where I earned 7 degrees across mathematics, physics, biomechanics, mechanical and structural engineering, computer science and AI, economics and business management. The remaining decades were dedicated to independent study and disciplined self-education, including 9 years of psychology and 16 years of internal medicine. Because of this long journey, I have developed a clear instinct to distinguish true knowledge from superficial knowledge, and depth from appearance. I am self-confident because of what I have lived and studied, but I am not arrogant or cocky. Success, fame, and power were never my targets. Money and power have nothing to do with wisdom or education, whether from institutions or self-study. They belong to a different dimension. What has always driven me are value, purpose, mission, and passion, not wealth, titles, awards, or recognition. I pursue the power of influence, not the power of control. Everything I have done has been guided by purpose, not ego. My view on technical depth, my understanding of knowledge came from doing, not talking. In 1972, I began developing AI algorithms entirely by myself. I wrote software code throughout my adult life, solved equations, and learned the mathematics and physics behind every model I touched. No one handed me the answers. This was long before AI became a popular academic subject. I still believe natural intelligence, NI, the human brain, is far more capable than artificial intelligence, AI, the computer, in creativity, intuition, emotional judgment, and human passion. AI is stronger in data storage, computational speed, and pattern replication, but it cannot match the depth, flexibility, and emotional insight of the human mind. Most importantly, passion is something no machine or software can ever possess. To me, the most effective working model is a hybrid system, NI plus AI. Through decades of training in engineering, mathematics, physics, computer science, psychology, and medicine, I learned what real technical mastery requires. It is not about owning a company, holding an impressive title, giving orders, or controlling people. I want the power to influence others like a teacher, not to control others, like a ruler or politician. Technical mastery is the ability to solve problems, understand mechanisms, and build systems from the ground up. Because I have personally built algorithms, solved equations, and designed analytical tools, I can easily recognize whether someone truly understands technical foundations. This is not something that can be faked. It is the product of decades of learning, disciplined practice, error correction, and solving real problems. My medical self-study. I still do not know many medical jargon terms, and I still have difficulty pronouncing many of them, especially drug names. I rarely have the opportunity to speak with medical professionals in person, so I do not get enough real verbal practice. Even though I already understand the meaning of most of these terms, I never attended medical school. I do not have a single traditional medical textbook on my bookshelf, even though I own more than 20,000 real books, mostly literature, history, and philosophy rather than science and engineering. But during the past 16 years, I have read more than 10,000 published medical papers online, without owning even one hardcopy medical textbook. This is the advantage of living in the era of search engines and commercial AI tools. My understanding of chronic disease came from first-hand experience, physical pain, emotional scars, big data collection, and long-term observation of my own body. I learned anatomy, pathology, and physiology through the lens of mathematics, physics, and engineering instead of memorizing medical terminology. I still do not understand pharmacology deeply, nor do I remember many drug names. I do not rely on chemistry or pharmacology to understand it. Explain my chronic diseases. I respect medications when they truly work, especially for infections or virus-induced illnesses. Those drugs are designed to eliminate invaders with DNA different from ours. They are effective, but chronic diseases are different. They are functional failures of human organs and blood vessels, which of human DNA. These account for about 70% to 80% of mortality. Diseases, built slowly over many years. Drugs cannot fix them. They only change biomarker readings, temporarily without addressing the root cause. Lifestyle adjustments can improve some organ-level conditions, partially reversible, but they cannot repair cellular or microstructural damage, such as vascular calcification or cancers, irreversible. This is why medications cannot fundamentally repair damaged organs. They only modify surface biomarker numbers. In engineering terms, medications change the downstream output numbers, without correcting the upstream inputs. Therefore, the system remains unstable. The numbers look improved, but the underlying damage or dysfunction continues. Everything I learned about chronic diseases came from living with my own conditions across 40 years since age 38. Obesity, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, dyslipidemia, CKD, CVD, retinopathy, neuropathy, vessel calcification, and my hemorrhagic stroke. The only two diseases I have not experienced are dementia and cancer. I learned by collecting, analyzing, and interpreting up to 4 million data points, collected from my own body over 16 years. My conclusions are based on evidence, not on interpretative theory, because my survival depends on real data, and the deep insights that can be discovered from it. Why I can evaluate knowledge accurately. Very few people can self-study medicine at an intensive level for from 13 to 14 hours a day for 16 years, and write 1,447 single-authored papers in 10 years. I do know that this level of productivity is extremely rare. I did it because I had no choice. I wanted to live, I wanted to understand why, and I wanted others to avoid the suffering I went through. Most importantly, I did not want my loved ones to experience the pain of watching me get sick or pass away. My research journey began from fear, survival, and responsibility to my family. It was simple, honest, and direct. I never had research assistants, co-authors, colleagues, classmates, teachers, medical professors, mentors, or institutional support. I calculated every dataset and wrote every paper alone on my iPhone. I collected all data myself. I built the medical AI tools on my iPhone. I created the viscoplastic energy, VMT, model. I applied topological geometry model, TDA, to interpret pathophysiology, when almost no one else was doing it this way. I survived a pontine hemorrhagic stroke and continued writing afterward. My thinking is very simple: if I must die, I still want to understand why and how. This background and inner drive allow me to see medical knowledge clearly, with a mind that is extremely simple, focused, and without distraction. My viewpoint does not come from arrogance. It comes from decades of training, discipline, business leadership, personal suffering, and scientific reasoning. My values. Throughout my professional career, I was financially successful, recognized, rewarded, and held powerful positions in business circles. But fame, power, and money were never my goals. They were byproducts, not motivations. What truly drives me is the desire to create value, pursue a mission, and act with passion for people in need. I have always cared more about knowledge, purpose, and helping others than about external material rewards. Even now, after my hemorrhagic stroke, I continue writing because I want others to understand their bodies, prevent disease, and extend their healthy lifespan. This gives my life meaning. Part 2, How my life philosophy connects with VMT, TDA, and my stroke recovery. My philosophy of life has always been based on responsibility, continuous learning, and self-improvement. These values shaped every part of my medical research work. The detailed construction of the VMT model came from my engineering mindset. After Professor Jones suggested the initial idea to me in December 2020, I naturally think in stress, strain, energy, deformation, and damage accumulation. Chronic diseases behave like mechanical structures, exposed to repeated overloads. Nothing fails in one day. It fails from years of silent energy accumulation. This idea came from engineering, not medicine. A good example occurred when I reviewed my CT scan film showing many bright white dots, which represented my cerebral microvessel calcifications. At that moment, September 11, 2025, my brain immediately returned to my MIT classroom in late 1972, listening to Professor Norman Jones explain the dynamic plastic behavior of structures. He described how heavy trucks repeatedly crossing a bridge cause small cracks inside the structure. A flood or storm may eventually collapse the entire bridge. My 36 years of diabetes, especially the first 20-year period, created microvessel calcification inside my brain. A sudden blood pressure surge at 175 millimeters of mercury ruptured a microvessel in the pons region, causing an extremely dangerous hemorrhagic stroke. TDA came from my belief that health is not linear, and that disease progression follows geometric changes in data patterns over time. Traditional medicine sees numbers. I see geometric shape changes, data point connectivity, eigenvalue and eigenvector direction, and hidden geometric patterns. TDA gave me a language to study the geometry of life. It helped explain why diseases drift in certain directions, and why outliers, extremity cases, matter far more than statistical averages. When I suffered my pontine hemorrhagic stroke, these two models helped save my life. They allowed me to understand the following: the long-term buildup of vascular calcification from diabetes, the separate roles of chronic stress energy from diabetes and acute mechanical stress from sudden hypertension, the topological drift of my blood pressure patterns before the stroke, the viscoplastic mechanism behind the brain vessel rupture, and most importantly, the correct pathway toward post-stroke recovery. My recovery also taught me that the human brain has enormous capacity for reorganization. My cognitive ability did not decline. Instead, it improved. My intuition sharpened. My pattern recognition increased. My lost memory returned. My clarity became stronger. These cognitive improvements resulted from neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rebirth or reorganize itself and rebuild neural pathways. This reminded me of my 12 years of AI design experience in the semiconductor chip industry, where millions of transistors were placed and wired to route signals intelligently. This realization further confirmed my belief in the power of human natural intelligence. VMT gave me the macro view of energy and damage. TDA gave me the geometric view of continuity and drift. My stroke gave me the real-world test. My life philosophy gave me the strength to continue. This is why I am still writing today. Conclusion. Most of my papers explain what I know. This paper explains who I am. That is what makes it special. It is philosophical, but it is still grounded in logic, experience, science, and truth. It is not empty philosophy. It is a philosophy built on pain, survival, observation, discipline, data, learning, knowledge, responsibility, meaning. This combination is special for me. I hope this paper gives readers a deeper emotional impact. I also hope it helps you understand my VMT and TDA work more fully, because it reveals the mind behind those research models. Disclaimer: I write this reflection not for fame, but to share what I have learned so others can understand their health, prevent disease, and live longer, healthier lives. This content is for educational reference only, and does not constitute medical or financial advice. No doctor-patient or advisor-client relationship is created. You may share this piece freely, but it must not be altered, edited, or republished as your own. All rights belong to the author, Gerald C.